Hey, 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 you know what time it is.
It's time for the Heart to Heart Journey to Unconditional Love podcast.
That's right. And I am your host, the late bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlan Brown. And Harlan Brown, what's up? What's up? What's up?
What it do, what it do, what it
Well,
do.
you already know what it do. It do this right here. Look at that. Read them and
I,
weep. Every
that's
podcast.
what's up.
We
I love
deserved
it.
it. We earned it.
I
Yes.
love it.
Champions, we got the ship, baby. They got the chip. We
Love it.
doing what we do. But again, you're going to have to hear that every podcast. Sorry, that's just how it is. We waited a
Okay.
long time, and I'm just promoting what we do. But anyway, let's get into
I
the
love it.
podcast. We had some great podcasts. We've been having some great podcasts. I think we came back refreshed. We came back, as I always say, locked and loaded, ready to go, and being very transparent and being forthcoming and understanding that there's growth in this podcast. We're having a
Yes.
heart to heart, and we call it Heart to Heart Journey to Unconditional Love podcast for a reason, because we feel that we family, we friends, we build it, and we can have a heart to heart. We should be able to say whatever we want to say through love. And that's why we never come at a negative angle. We always come from a positive angle, because presentation is the key. Presentation is always the key, and how you present yourself to someone allows how the trajectory of how that your relationship is going to go and be, just but from what you do. If you give somebody that respect that you want and give it back, and you give that unconditional love, or you when you are helping building that journey to unconditional love, it is amazing. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to start out what we did before, because we was on excuses, and I'm going to read this poem again, because it's one of those things. It says, excuses are the tools of weak and incompetent, used to build monument of nothingness. Those who excel in it seldom excel in anything else but excuses. So be careful. And we're talking about red flags. And when it comes to red flags turning green, excuses. If you're always giving an excuse, look in the mirror, stop, pause. You remember that Run DMC song? Pause, pause. I mean, that was it. That was everybody was saying that back in the day, man. And I don't know what made me have reference to that, because I think I was watching DMC on something, and he was talking, and it kind of brought that back to mind. But that's something. Pause. When you're dealing with your red flags, it's okay. First of all, we got to give you that platform. We got to give you that safe space. Like, nothing is too great to overcome. Nothing. Nothing is too great to overcome. If you have red flags in your lives, first of all, just recognize that you do. You're not less of a person. You're not crazy. You're not, you're not the worst person on earth. You're not terrible. You're not none of that. We all are human. We all make mistakes. We all are set in some of the ways that has allowed us to become us, but we just didn't realize that they were red flags to other people. And all
Right.
we want to do is just make you aware that you do have red flags in your life. Everybody does. They
Absolutely.
don't turn green most of the time. You know why? Because we don't want to turn them green. We stay in that because that's our protector. It protects us from being hurt. It protects us from being from well, protects us to stay in control and allow us to be in control, because we want to control our narrative. And that red flag is like, okay, when you throw that red flag up, people stop. Red, pause. That's why red means stop, green means go. But
Right.
you have to allow people to come into your life, and you have to relinquish that red flag if you want to build a good relationship that is going to lead you to unconditional love. Now, if you don't want to do it, that's fine. And we're not saying that you have to, but when you have those red flags, it's hard to go forward. Just think about it. If it's a red light, and think about this. You ever been there? You stopped at a red light and it's so long, but you don't go. It's just there. You be like, you're looking at the other person, especially if you're in the car by yourself, and with somebody, you're like, "Tag, is that light always that long?" Like, do you
I
not think
know.
that we can sit there
Is
for
it
a long
broke?
time? But you don't move, right? You don't move. You really don't because you want to obey the sign.
You can't
Obey
move.
the sign. And then when
Right.
people throw up red flags, they're telling you, obey my sign, obey my sign. However, it doesn't work in relationships. There's no way that you can build on it having those red flags because they'll never turn green because one, you're not going to acknowledge that you have it to another person. You're not going to work on it because you're comfortable in it. And like I said, it helps you stay who you are. It helps, you stay in control, controlling your narrative and things like that of that nature. So we're just here to help you. If you really want to turn your red flag to green, you can. Because we say red flags don't turn green because most of the time people don't want to put in the time, put in the work. So that's why we say that. But we have this podcast, this journey, because we want to take you on a journey to where this red flag can turn green. And that was the question while we started this whole series. And I think this is like our sixth, seventh podcast on red flags, might be 8 or 9,
Yeah.
because it's very important. So,
Very.
very important. So I wanted to start that because we were talking about excuses, and I know I went on my tangent because I really just want to help you guys. Um, I really want to help you. And again, I'm gonna read it again. Excuses are monuments of nothingness. They build bridges to nowhere. Those who use the tools of incompetence seldom become anything but nothing at all. So you heard it first from DeLay Bloomer and Harlem Brown. Stop the excuses.
Just, yeah, stop.
Don't sit at that light. Let that light turn green for you. Work through God to turn that red flag green. I'm gonna give you the floor because I can go on this all day because this series has blessed me more than other series that I've had. And it was crazy when I said series, my phone went on like I was saying series. I had to say that. Sorry. Can we have fun too? Again, we don't want to make this too serious all the time, but we have fun in it. But we want to give you the message that God has given us to give y'all. That's why we do this podcast, because we want to help build relationships. We want to help strengthen relationships. We want to help people who are just need just a nudge. Like, okay, hey, I got to get over the hump. How can I? We all need help. God put us on earth to help because it started with Adam. He's like, oh, wait a minute. You naming all the animals, you doing all this stuff. I'm going to get you a helper. I'm going to get somebody to stand with you and help you. You know what I mean? We all know how that turned out. I know we're not going back to that. But, but the good thing is that we all need help. And that is the purpose of the podcast, and we want to help y'all turn these red flags to green. So, Harlan Brown, take the floor before I go, but you know what it is. I know I'll stop. I know I'm being silly today.
It's all good. If you want to refer to Adam and Eve, they still stayed together, even though they had some crazy, crazy things that was going on. They still stuck it out and
Yes.
stayed together. But I think that the whole thing about excuses really sums up the remainder of the list of what I had of red flags, because it's always an excuse of why people do the things that they do. Like, I don't have time, or I don't want this to happen, or I want this to be a certain way, or and it's always excuse why it can't be, just a normal relationship, right? It always has to be something thrown in it that makes the other person feel like, okay, I'm getting all of these excuses because this person is definitely maybe not really into being in a relationship, or maybe it's cool to be with you for right now, but you're not really what I want. But if I give you a couple of excuses and you tolerate my excuses and you stick around, then I guess you deserve what you get, right? I don't know. But at the end of the day, I think that the whole excuse factor sums up the red flags, because when somebody gives you a list of excuses, excuse yourself, I guess, because at the end of the day, unless the person is coming for, forthcoming with, like, you know what, that is, I have been making a lot of excuses lately. I mean, I need to look at why I'm making these excuses, or what's happening, or this is one of the reasons why this is happening. And you can have that conversation. Um, you need to have it, because if you don't, then you're going to be living in a world of excuses, and that's never a good sign. That's never a healthy relationship to be in, when somebody can always tell you why they're not doing what they need to do, because they don't want to do what they need to do, or
Yeah.
they keep finding excuses of excuse of why not. So yeah, that's something to look at, and that definitely is the sum of my list, because the rest of it is just excuses.
Yeah. I mean, this is, man, this is crazy. This has been a blessing. As we wrap up the red flags don't turn green. I believe, like I said, um, when it comes to excuses, I mean, you have to take it with a grain of salt. We all have them. There's nobody that's without. It's like there's nobody that's without sin. There's no one. There's nobody that's without an excuse. At some point, and sometimes you always had an excuse for something. You know what's crazy? We learn that. We learn to give excuses. I mean, we're taught that. Like just say, you did whatever. It's like, ooh. And then it becomes a norm for you. And
Yeah.
that's the crazy part of it. A lot of things that happen in life is learned because we don't know no better. Like, what do nobody, like, you never knew what an excuse was. Somebody asked you to do something, you did it. Somebody asked you to be somewhere, you were there. You learned how to give excuses. And a lot of times, people put themselves in precarious situations because of, they give an excuse. For whatever reason, I don't want to get into, again, I don't speak negativity, so I don't want to get into the reasons why you gave an excuse. The understanding of this podcast is to say, okay, excuses are red flags. If you give them all the time, especially if you're in a relationship and someone's really into you and you're giving an excuse all the time, I would tell the other person, don't read into what the other person is going through, because you never know what someone is going through. And sometimes their excuses could be legitimate. I don't think it's all the time, but because if you have to give an excuse all the time, that warrants a conversation. That warrants a heart to heart to say, look, you always ask me, and I'm always giving you some kind of excuse, or why I can't, or why I did this, or why I don't do this or do that. That's where it becomes a conversation. You level set with them, no matter what it is, because a person can't understand what your excuse is if they don't understand what you're going through. But excuses are red flag. If you want them to turn green, you can, through God, through prayer, through praying together. As soon as you walked in our house, my parents had a saying: "A family that prays together stays together." And that's why our family is so close. And we've always been close because we prayed together. So if you want your relationship to stay together, pray. And that's why I'll be doing you a disservice or injustice to tell you you can make the change to have the red flag turn green on your own. Uh, you can, but prayer changes things. And if you want things changed in your life and you really want it done, and you ask God to give it to you and just let Him take care of it and handle it and put Him in control of it, it'll be gone. It'll be gone. And then you'll see it opens up another level for you and your partner. It opens up a whole nother like level, like you elevated your relationship and you're that much closer to unconditional love if you're not already there. That's the key to this podcast. That's the key to this wanting to have this podcast, because we don't get paid for this. You know what I mean? It's something that we love to do. It's something that God has given us the assignment, and we're being obedient to do it. And hey, sometimes it is hard sometimes to come up with content, and wanting to get us both together. We live in different places and wanting to get together, and what time we could do this and time we do that. It is hard, and I'm not giving you an excuse, so I'm not trying to tell you something because we don't try to do anything. I'm letting you know that, hey, when you just go and do it, and no excuses, and you just go and do it, great things come about it. And this has been a blessing for me. We celebrated our 1 year anniversary for this particular podcast on YouTube in April a year. It's been a year. Now we're over a year. And you can see, if you've listened to us from the beginning till now, we've gotten stronger. And that's what your relationship will do once you continue to work on your red flags to turn them green. Your relationship not only will be better, it's going to be stronger. And then that's you're one step closer, half a step closer, big time to unconditional love. So I said my piece on this. Audience, y'all know how much I care about you. You know how much I love you. You know how much I want you and your relationships to work, how I want y'all to be. Just know you can't control the other person, but your change makes other people change. And I'm going to say that again. Your change makes other people change. Whether you think about it or understand it or not, just I challenge you. Change something in your life with one of those red flags, and you'll see your partner change. You'll see your partner get a little closer to you. If they're not as close as they can be now, it's just going to elevate you and elevate your relationship. And that's what we want to do through God. We want to elevate your relationship. Like, be together, stay together. Two people together, man, amazing. So, Harlan Brown, I'm going to give you the last words. I know our time is coming up. It's been a great series. I love it, man. I love it. And if you come up with any more red flags, we're going to go through them, because this has been very transparent. We've been very transparent with the audience. We've been very forthcoming. I know I've disclosed a lot of information about me. Hope y'all don't see me in a different light, but I'm human, and I make mistakes. And I have red flags, and I don't want my red flags anymore. I want them to turn green. So, Harlan Brown, it's all on you.
Absolutely. I think this was definitely a blessing. I think that we have been able to really dig deep into some of the red flags that are common things that you hear all the time, and just having the opportunity to speak about them and to dissect them a little bit and try to understand both sides. You know what I'm saying? Because I think a lot of times with red flags, it is not necessarily like you said, I feel like I don't have any red flags because I've been doing this my whole entire life. And I've been, people have been dealing with it. But then I run across that one person who's just like, that ain't really cool for me. And we need to talk about that a little bit. Let's dissect that a little bit. And you get an opportunity to say, you know what, we treat everybody with respect, and we want our relationships to grow. So we want to hear the other person out. We want to talk to them. We don't want to give them excuses, because excuses, as the poem was told you, it doesn't amount of what you said, emptiness or nothingness, or it doesn't amount to anything. So we have to really, really, really look at ourselves and look at how we want relationships to grow. And we want to not only look at our red flags, but we want to find a way to get rid of those, and be open to talk about it, and be open to pray with our significant other, and to make things better. And I think that's the key to turning red flags green. Just pray about it together, and talk about it, and
Couldn't say it any
want
better.
to
And
make it different.
I couldn't say it any better, man. I thank y'all for coming on this journey with us, especially for this series, because this series was amazing. You don't understand. My heart is like overflowing with joy. And here's the other part to it. I just felt like I released something, and it just took a burden off my shoulder. Because when I accepted that I had red flags and I was doing things that I really didn't understand or really didn't know what I was doing, but I knew what I was doing, because I know you said sometimes um, you do it consciously, but unconsciously sometimes you don't really realize it. But consciously, I knew I was doing it, but unconsciously, I never thought about how it affected other people. Now that I
Mm.
know how it affected other people, especially people who I'm, in relationship with, it affected them crazy. And I'm like, oh my God, oh, so now fixing myself through God and having that conversation with him and allowing him to guide me through how to turn my red flag green is a journey. And anybody who's out there who's listening, if you want to just put in the comments, explain your journey, explain what your red flag is, and it could be anonymous, but you don't have to, whatever, and just explain what your red flag and how you're going about working for it and what the results was, because we want to see the results. It's kind of like being a teacher, and not, you're like, did I really give a good message? Did I really do something? Am I really teaching these people well? You won't know until down the line when a student comes back and says, hey, man, the words that you gave, whatever. So I hope the words that God has given me to give to you resonates in your heart, your mind, your body, and soul. That's why I say that all the time, because it's so important um, for us to know that we are giving you the right content, giving you the right message. I already know it is, and I'm not even in an arrogant sense, because it's coming from God. I couldn't come up with these words. I couldn't come up with these topics. I couldn't come up with anything. That's why I said when we try to come up with topics, and White try when we actually come up with topics, God has put that in our hearts and put that in our minds. It's not because we did it; God did it. Because it was this one I really wasn't even on my radar, but it kept manifesting. It kept manifesting, and it came out, and that's how it was. So yeah, our time is up. Been a great series there, Harlem Brown. Man, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna say it again. Read them and weep. Don't hate. Don't hate. Don't hate. And as we end all our podcasts, trying to do something will keep you in the same place. But when you actually do something, your place has no limitations. I am your host, Delay Bloomer. That is my co-host, Harlan Brown. And we see you next week.
See you next
Yes,
week.
yes, yes. Let's go. Let's go, champion.